How to escape the illusion of physical reality. So you watching this video, you are in a genjutsu, you are in an illusion. You think whatever it is that you're experiencing is real, but it's an illusion, right? Physical reality is just an automated illusion. That means you're just watching a movie that has already existed, that's always existed, but you're viewing it through the lens of it, as if it's something that's brand new, right? So you have to understand that everything is an illusion. Physical reality is an illusion, right? It's just a projection of consciousness. And you also have to understand energy, frequency, and vibrations. I mean, this video could really go anywhere. I'm kind of winging it off the top of my head. But what's the problem some people have? An issue that just popped up, confidence, right? A lot of people have confidence issues. So I wanted to talk about the core, quick, physical realities and illusion, whatever, right? But this topic is so broad that there's an infinite amount of ways to explain it, right? So I have to just pick one specific thing that people struggle with, or maybe a little or a couple of things. And the first thing that we'll talk about is, let's say, confidence, something simple like confidence, right? So someone who's insecure, someone who has confidence issues, what is insecurity? What is someone who has confidence issues? What's happening on an invisible energetic level that makes the person feel the way that they feel? Well, you have to understand that this person is vibrating, right? So this person is vibrating at a frequency. This is a frequency, right? And they're vibrating at a frequency of unconfidence, right? Unconfidence and insecurity. Insecurity, right? So this person is vibrating at a vibration or at a frequency of unconfidence and insecurity. And you have to understand that someone who has unconfidence, someone who has insecurity issues, right? They're experiencing an illusion of reality, an illusion that makes them feel as if they're unconfident, that makes them feel as if they're insecure, but really it's just the illusion of their frequency. So another way to look at it is, it's like you view everything through this lens, you view everything through this filter, which is your frequency. So if someone's unconfident, they're viewing reality through that lens of insecurity, through that lens of unconfidence, right? This is their eyes, and they're viewing it through that. So one thing that's extremely, I guess you could say, scary, interesting, and very peculiar about frequency and these things is you cannot perceive a frequency that you're not vibrating at. So if someone has a belief of unconfidence and insecurity, right, that means the belief is going to shift them into a frequency where they're vibrating at that rate, where that's what they experience in their physical reality, right? And here's the scary thing about it. Someone who's unconfident or insecure, essentially the way it works is they literally can't fathom or conceptualize a reality where they're confident, where they're the most confident person that's ever existed. It doesn't exist because you cannot perceive that that frequency of confidence. You can't perceive that which you are not the frequency you need to be on to see it, right? So a lot of people who are vibrating on unconfidence or insecurity, they feel like they're going to be stuck like that for eternity or ever. It literally feels like it's impossible to get out of it, right? Another example is, let's say someone's vibrating, right? Let's say that someone's vibrating at a frequency of anxiety. Let's say this is anxiety, right? Anxiety is the same thing. If someone is vibrating at a frequency of anxiety, right? Let's say this guy is named Tom, right? And Tom is vibrating at this frequency, right? If Tom is vibrating at this frequency, and let's say this is physical, and this is invisible. Everything that you see physically is a reflection of that which is invisible, right? So let's say you have Tom here, right? And Tom is extremely anxious. Every time he leaves his house, he's anxious. Every time he goes to the store, anytime he's talking to someone, for some reason, we're not going to get into how these programs get installed exactly at the moment, but all we can say is Tom has extreme anxiety. And this extreme anxiety is stopping Tom from being able to live his life, right? He can't travel really. Anytime he leaves his house, you can't enjoy reality if you have extreme anxiety. I'm not talking about normal anxiety. I'm talking extreme anxiety. You have to understand that Tom is experiencing an illusion. This is an illusion. This is an illusion in and of itself. The anxiety is an illusion, but the illusion is so real that it feels like you can't escape it. So if Tom has anxiety, a lot of people with anxiety, they go to the doctor, they take pills, they go to therapy. The conventional systems that are in place by society to deal with something like this, it doesn't work, right? So a lot of people who have anxiety, they're pretty much stuck with it forever unless they understand how to reprogram their subconscious mind, change their frequency, because that's the core of it, right? So let's say Tom has anxiety, right? The scary thing about it is if he has extreme anxiety, it's literally going to feel like it's an impossibility that he ever escapes it. Like, it literally feels like you can't escape it. If Tom is vibrating at a frequency of anxiety, you can't perceive that which you're not the frequency you need to be on to see it. So Tom literally can't see. Let's say this is a peace, right? Let's say this is a vibration, a frequency of peace. He can't see it. So you have two people. Let's say you have two people. One of them see a dog, right? But this person is vibrating, right? Let's say there's this person. This guy's name is Jim. Jim is on a peaceful frequency, right? He doesn't have anxiety, he has peaceful thoughts. So they both leave their house. Jim is vibrating at the frequency of peaceful thoughts, right? He has positive thoughts. He sees a very angry looking dog. He thinks nothing of it, right? He thinks nothing of it. But then Tom leaves his house, and Tom is like, that dog is Tom thinks the dog is just gonna attack him. Anytime he leaves his house, he experiences an illusion where he feels like something negative is gonna happen. He thinks the dog is gonna bark at him. Why? Because one is experiencing an illusion of peace, and then the other one is experiencing an illusion of anxiety, right? Where everything is negative. But you have to understand that they're both illusions. And the reason they're illusions is because it's an illusion. It's not that dog is not actually going to tear Tom apart. But because he's on a frequency, he's viewing it through that lens. He's viewing it through that filter where anything he sees, he just believes that something negative is going to happen, right? Because it's an illusion. It's like you're in a hypnotic state. It's like you're experiencing, you literally can't escape it, right? And it's the same thing with someone who's unconfident. Someone who's unconfident, usually they feel like they're going to be unconfident forever. Right? Most people don't understand how the subconscious mind works. Most people don't understand that they're in an illusion. Most people don't understand how to reprogram the subconscious mind. And most people don't understand that the way they feel and the thoughts they think are simply illusions. You can change them. Yes, you could have anxiety. Yes, you could have confidence issues. Yes, you could have insecurity. Yes, you can feel powerless. Yes, you can feel limited. Yes, you could feel like it goes for poverty too. Some people are poor. They feel like they're going to be poor forever. That's the illusion of your frequency because you can't perceive that which you're not on the frequency you need to be on to see it. That's why someone who's poor, they feel like they're going to be poor forever. And then a lot of people, once they start making money, guess what they say? Oh man, I can't believe it, right? But they're on a new frequency, right? So yes, someone could have anxiety. Yes, someone they could have negative thoughts, insecurity issues, lack of self-worth. They could have confidence issues. And you have to understand that if you're someone who's struggling with these type of things, it's an illusion. If you change the frequency, you change that which you experience, but it's an illusion, right? And you have to understand that the illusion is so powerful that you can't perceive anything outside that exact specific illusion of your frequency that doesn't correlate with the frequency that you're vibrating on. You can't think, it's like wearing blue filter sunglasses. If you wear blue filter sunglasses, everything is going to look blue. No matter how hard you try to see green, you can't see green. Everything's going to look blue. What you have to do is, let's say, what's this guy's name again? Remind me, is Tom, yeah? Tom, remember, let's say Tom, right here, this is Tom. If he changes his vibration, because he watches this video, he said, this guy's smart, he knows what he's talking about, let me do what he says, I'm going to do the research, I'm going to do my best to reprogram my subconscious mind and change my frequency, right? And now he's vibrating at a frequency of peace. Remember, this is invisible, right? So this is invisible, and everything you see physically is a reflection. Physical reality, everything that you see in physical reality is a reflection of something that's invisible, which is your frequency, and then if you want to go deeper into it, your frequency, the frequency that you're vibrating on is a reflection of your subconscious beliefs. Subconscious beliefs, right? So your subconscious belief system, right? So your subconscious belief systems determines your frequency, the frequency you vibrate on. And then the frequency that you vibrate on determine what you experience in physical reality. That's why if you reprogram your subconscious mind and you change your belief, that means you change the frequency that you vibrate on, and then you change that which you see in physical reality. It's truly that simple. So remember, Tom was vibrating at a frequency of anxiousness, right? He was vibrating at a frequency of anxiousness. But then he did the work, so he started reprogramming his subconscious mind. Because he started reprogramming his subconscious mind, then he started changing his frequency. And now that he shifted his frequency to a frequency where he has peaceful thoughts, he installed this belief into his mind. He only has peaceful and positive thoughts, and only peaceful and positive things can happen to him, right? This is the belief he installed into his subconscious mind, which shifted him into the frequency of peace, right? And now remember, he's viewing reality through that filter. So now instead of viewing reality through that extremely anxious lens, now he's viewing reality through that lens of peace, and he's more calm, he's more relaxed. And then that's what he's going to experience in his physical reality. So remember, Tom had extreme anxiousness, and he just, and no matter what he did, he just couldn't get rid of it. But then he understands that, okay, this anxiety is a reflection of the frequency, which is a reflection of your subconscious belief system. You change the beliefs in the subconscious, and if you change the beliefs in the subconscious, that means you change the frequency you vibrate on. If you change the frequency you vibrate on, that means you change that which is reflected within physical reality. So if he does the work here, then his frequency is going to shift, and once he shifts into a frequency of having peaceful thoughts, only positive things happen to him, then the anxiety is going to go away, and now in his physical reality, he's just going to unconsciously, naturally be calm. Now he's experiencing an illusion of peace and positivity, right? Because everything is an illusion. Everything you see in physical reality is an illusion, right? So now instead of experiencing a reality, right, or an illusion of anxiety, now he's experiencing an illusion of peace and positivity, right? So this goes with everything, right? It could be with, right, like some people, they're very unconfident, right? It could even be something like confident, right? Someone could be unconfident. They're vibrating at a frequency of unconfidence, right? So they're unconfident. Maybe it's a dude. They're afraid to talk to girls. They're unconfident, right? They're afraid to talk to people. They're afraid to talk to people in general. They're introverted, and they're just afraid of any social type of interaction. So you have to understand that that's just the frequency they're vibrating on. They have a belief system. Who knows? Maybe they were humiliated at some point, which installed a negative belief into their subconscious mind, which shifted them into a frequency of unconfidence and essentially being afraid to talk to anyone. And they're introverted, and they're just afraid socially. They're socially awkward, right? And they're unconfident, and that's reflected within their physical reality. And now when they have to talk to people, they feel a bit nervous, they feel anxious, they feel a bit weird, they feel a bit off. Remember, that's because of the frequency. And remember, I said that everything's an illusion. They're experiencing an illusion where they're unconfident, but they can also experience an illusion where they're confident. But as I said, I really truly want to emphasize this so anyone watching can understand. You have to understand that when you're vibrating at this frequency of unconfidence or anxiety, negative thoughts, whatever it is, you have to understand, this is extremely important. It's going to feel like you're never going to be able to escape that unconfidence, that insecurity, that anxiety, whatever frequency that's there. Because you cannot perceive that which you are not the frequency you need to be at to vibrate, right? Literally, if someone is extremely unconfident and insecure, it's almost as if they can't conceptualize. Like, it's going to feel like they're going to be unconfident for eternity, for the rest of their life. If someone has extreme anxiety, it's going to feel like they're going to have to deal with that for the rest of their life. You have to understand that you can have unconfidence, you can have anxiety, right? Trauma, right? Negative thoughts, right? And all of these issues, you have to realize you're experiencing an illusion where it feels like you'll never be able to escape anxiety, unconfidence, trauma, negative thoughts. It feels like you're stuck there for eternity, but don't believe it. It's an illusion. It's simply because you're vibrating at that frequency, right? Let's say this is a red lens, right? It's like you have these this red sunglasses on, and you can only perceive everything through this red filter, right? But you have to understand that, yes, you can take the sunglasses off. Let's say there's red sunglasses, right? And that's anxiety, unconfidence, trauma, negative thoughts, right? But then you shift your frequency, and now you shift your frequency to, peace, right? So you shift your frequency to peace, confidence, right? Peaceful, positive thoughts. Now that's like a blue filter, right? So it's like now now that, let's say that's a blue filter. It's like you have blue sunglasses and you're viewing everything through blue now. This is an illusion in and of itself. Same with the negative illusion. But do you want to experience the negative illusion, the red filter sunglasses, or do you want to experience the positive illusion, the blue filter sunglasses? It's all an illusion anyways, but you get to choose which illusion you want to experience, right? So you have to understand that many people don't understand anything about frequency, anything about reprogram the subconscious mind. They don't realize that every single issue that they have is a reflection of their frequency, which is a reflection of their subconscious belief system. They don't understand this. They don't realize this. A lot of people don't know that they can just take off these red sunglasses and put on blue sunglasses. So they feel stuck. They feel like they're never going to be able to escape their situation. And the craziest thing about all of this is you can consciously understand this information. You can consciously understand how the subconscious works. You can understand how frequency works. You can understand physical reality is a reflection of the frequency you're on, and the frequency you're on is determined by the subconscious beliefs that you have. You can understand all of this. The craziest thing about all of it is that even if you consciously understand this, right, if you're vibrating at a frequency of anxiousness, you're still going to be anxious, right? You're still going to be anxious, right? It doesn't matter if you understand this consciously. You're still going to be viewing reality through those red filter sunglasses of trauma, negativity, anxiety, or whatever it is. You're still going to be viewing reality through those red filter sunglasses until you actually change the subconscious belief system. Then you change the frequency, and then your physical reality will reflect that new frequency. Because you have to understand, the only things that's true in reality is that which the subconscious mind believes to be true. So you can consciously know and you can consciously understand something, but if you don't actually change the subconscious belief, which then will change the frequency, which then your physical reality will reflect that new frequency, that change that you made within, if you don't do that, you're basically going to feel as if it's true. You can understand, like a lot of people who have extreme anxiety, they understand very, very well. They understand consciously that, okay, I understand, like I feel these negative thoughts and I'm just worried about anything. And I understand that I can't turn this off. I get it. They understand consciously, right? They understand consciously that this is an illusion, that it's, that it's BS, that they can't escape the situation. They understand that it's negative thoughts. They understand it, but it doesn't matter because they're still vibrating at that frequency of anxiety. So emotionally, they feel as if it's true. It's like you're in an illusion, right? The frequency you're vibrating on determines the illusion you experience. Even if you're consciously aware that, you're vibrating on a frequency of negativity, you're vibrating at anxiousness, trauma, whatever it is you're vibrating on, until you actually change the frequency, you're not gonna change the way you feel. That's why a lot of people, they go to the doctor and then they take a bunch of pills for anxiety and they're like, oh, my anxiety never goes away. The conventional systems that are in place in society that deal with anxiety, trauma, negative thoughts, all the unconfidence, all these type of things, they don't actually solve the root issue, which is your frequency, which is your subconscious belief system. If someone has anxiety, if they have negative thoughts, if they have trauma, if they have all these negative issues, they have to understand it's because of the frequency they're vibrating on. It's because of their subconscious beliefs. If they do the work internally in that which they cannot see in this invisible realm, right, then that which they see physically is going to change, and then they're going to experience something different. Right? But a lot of people don't understand this and they get trapped. The conventional systems that are in place to deal with certain issues like anxiety, they don't work, which is why most people have anxiety. In fact, it's not in their best incentive to work. Imagine there's one pill and you take this pill and your anxiety's gone forever. They're not going to make money that way. They make money because when your pills run out, it's like, oh, you still have anxiousness, and it numbed the negative thoughts a bit. Make sure you let us know when you're out of your pills, and then we'll go ahead and refill them for you. The prices are going up, right? But we have a discount code for you. The price may be going up, but, if you get this subscription, this medication, we could get you locked in at the right price. They're just essentially what's happening is you're numbing the pain. It doesn't actually work, right? If you have anxiety, if you have negative thoughts, if you have all these issues, you need to change the frequency. It's that simple. Change the frequency. And I understand that a lot of you experiencing these types of issues, trauma, anxiety, negative thoughts, whatever it is that you're going through, it feels like you're never going to be able to get out of it, but I already explained why. You have to even if you consciously are aware of all this information, Until you change the frequency, you're not going to change that which you see in physical reality. The illusion that you experience is so powerful that even if you're consciously aware of the mechanics of the illusion, of the mechanics of the simulation, the matrix, even if you're consciously aware of how everything works, the illusion is so powerful, the illusion is so great, it's so hypnotizing that until you change this frequency, even if you're consciously aware of all this, you will still deal with all the negative issues that you have, anxiety, whatever it is that you're dealing with, until you actually just shift the frequency. In fact, a lot of you watching this, you could have anxiety, and the thing is, because you're on that frequency, it's gonna feel like you can never get rid of it, right? And then when you reprogram your subconscious, you change your frequency to having peaceful and positive thoughts, and that's reflected within your physical reality. You're gonna be like, what? It's going to feel a bit odd. You're going to be like, you won't believe it, right? But you're on a new frequency. Your conscious mind is going to be like, what's happening here? It's like, huh? It feels magical. It feels weird. It's all like, when you truly understand how to reprogram your subconscious mind, it's the weirdest thing in the world, right? Because you can go from anxious one day and the next day you have the most peaceful, most positive thoughts out of any person that's ever existed. It's truly this remarkable once you understand this type of information. Anyways, that's all I have for you guys today. Peace.